Hello, everyone. Welcome back to College Football Corner. We are already here at week 3. I really can't believe how quickly it's been and how quickly the season is going so far. And you're really starting to feel like after that week 3 to week 5 period is when you really get a good feel and a good vibe for most of the programs. Now, this weekend, I wouldn't say it's a gigantic one. I really think there's only 4 games that if you have to be in front of a TV, these are the 4 you got to watch. Clearly, one of them is Auburn LSU. Auburn going on the road and taking on LSU in Baton Rouge. Now, Auburn has been one of the biggest disappointments for me so far this season. I had sky high expectations for Auburn and especially Jeremy Johnson, but Jeremy Johnson especially has not looked sharp at all in his first 2 games. Just barely avoiding a defeat against Jacksonville State, which would have been just unprecedented. That would have been level of the Michigan losing to Appalachian State level of disappointment. So I think you look at that and you look at everything. What does Jeremy Johnson have to do to get it together? Clearly, right off the bat, I don't think he's making good decisions with the ball. I think right now he's kind of staring down his receivers. I don't know if he's really going through his progressions. I think he's just locking in, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to throw the ball here. And you're seeing that sometimes, and that's what especially is leading to the interceptions. I heard an interesting point from Mack Brown where Mack Brown was saying, I think he needs to run more, and I agree completely. Jeremy Johnson may be huge, but he can move. He's got some wheels. He does remind me a lot of Cardale Jones because he does have the tremendous arm strength, but he's also got tremendous athleticism to back that up. Now, in terms of the pick, I went with LSU here. Merely on the fact that you look at LSU's defense right now, their defense is outstanding. I mean, you can't emphasize enough how incredible LSU's defense is. They only gave up 43 rushing yards on the ground to Mississippi State. They forced Dak Prescott to throw the ball 54 times. That is an incredible formula that they have there now. The only thing that Auburn has going for them that LSU doesn't, and even Auburn hasn't gotten this yet, is good quarterback play. LSU just doesn't have good quarterback play. They have tremendous running back. Leonard Fournette is as good a running back. He might be the best running back in the nation. Aside from maybe Royce Freeman and Nick Chubb and maybe a couple other guys, I think Leonard Fournette just might be the best. But you look at LSU, you look at how stout that defense is. They're home. Auburn has struggled. It's going to be a difficult football game, but it all hinges on Jeremy Johnson. Auburn should win this football game because they don't need to rely on the run as heavily as they did last year, but he hasn't shown that yet. I mean, that's all what we thought, but it hasn't happened yet. So for now, I got to go with the LSU Tigers, but clearly that is definitely game number 1 that you have to keep your eye on. Game number 2, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame. Now, right now, obviously Malik Zaire is out for the season. It's a real shame because he was having a great year. Big expectations for him as well. Smart with the football, very patient in the pocket, efficient, athleticism, the whole package Malik Zaire had. But now it's Deshaun Kaiser's turn to step up. Now, he finished that game off last week, which was a difficult game, and you give him credit for that with the 2 touchdowns. This is a difficult team you're playing against in Georgia Tech. Their triple option is very difficult to stop. Their running attack is incredible. The one thing they cannot do, though, and this is how you win, is you force them into long passing situations. This is what Michigan State did to Oregon last week. Now, different offenses, Georgia Tech and Oregon, but it's the same premise. You force them in long situations, you force them to throw the ball consistently, and that's when you get them, and you just defizzle everything they try to do. Vernon Adams Jr., the Oregon's quarterback, there's no comparison. He's a much better passer than Georgia Tech's quarterback, Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas is a very, very struggles throwing the football, and that's why I think Auburn still win. That's why Notre Dame, I believe, still wins because they have a consistent passing game. They will be able to limit the running game, throwing a lot of big defenders, which they have at Georgia Tech. They will slow them down, force them into those passing situations, and I think that's why Notre Dame gets the win in that one. Finally, you have to look at just a gigantic SEC bout. 2 gigantic SEC bouts this weekend. Like I said before, Auburn LSU and Alabama against Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is one of those ones, they really haven't got much talk so far because they haven't really played anybody yet. But, I mean, they put over 70 points points up in both their first two games. 76-3 in their first game against winning against UT Martin, and then last week 73-21 against Fresno State. Chad Kelly, their quarterback for Ole Miss, is one of those guys where, again, he's looked very sharp, but is that a testament to the opponents they played, or is this a guy who can legitimately play? Alabama's defense looks very sharp so far. Again, they haven't really put away anybody too top tier yet either. I mean, Wisconsin, I guess you could kind of consider that's a quality one there. But I think you look at them, and at the end of the day, I'm still very weary on Jay Coker. I think Derrick Henry is a very good back who is that franchise cornerstone type back. We've seen Alabama do it before when they've been able to rely on the Trent Richardsons, the Eddie Lacy's, the Mark Ingrams. That's when their offense is at its best. They can rely on that guy. He's the workhorse. He helps elevate the conservative quarterback, which I do think he will do this year. But Jay Coker still, to me, is a little bit shaky. I just don't know. There could be moments. We saw it with Blake Sims a couple times last season where he's on that fringe and things start you worry about the turnovers, about him being methodical. So things are to worry about there. Alabama, I still think, gets a win here because their defense is still coming into this game looking very good. They have the running back in Derrick Henry who they can rely on, and that's something they didn't really have last year. TJ Yeldon is a good back, but he wasn't that bruising type back you could always work and rely upon. He also needed to be in a committee backfield. Derrick Henry's the kind of guy like Lacy, like Richardson, where he's the workhorse. Just keep feeding him, and that helps elevate the entire collective offense. But I do have Alabama here, but this is a big game for Chad Kelly. If Chad Kelly can throw the football, because let's be honest, they're going to struggle, as everyone does, running the ball against Alabama, it could be a very interesting one. I do think it's a close game, because I think even despite not playing top-tier opponents, I do think Chad Kelly can throw the football, and that's clearly going to be the key here to beating Alabama, but I don't think they will. And then finally, if you needed one more to watch, and again, I wouldn't say this is must, is BYU and UCLA. BYU, I mean, of course, has clearly a flair for the dramatic with the way that they've started off their season, and a lot of people are kind of starting to move over to their side. I love UCLA, though. Josh Rosen, the young quarterback, the true freshman there for UCLA is just special. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. My good friend Joe D works for CBS. I mean, he's talked to a lot of guys, and he's just feeding me all this information. They think that this kid is truly special. I mean, I heard one person go as far to say he'll be on the Mount Rushmores of quarterback. Some people compare. I mean, look, this is the new Luck. This is it, and it's hard to disagree with them. I know those are big things, big claims to make. But I mean, he's been phenomenal, and I mean, he was almost flawless in their first week performance. Another very strong one. This is the real deal. This kid, and look, BYU has had, like I said, a flair for the dramatic. They played very well, even with losing their starting quarterback in the first game. But Josh Rosen has such a good feel. You just watch. Sometimes it's easy. So don't overthink it. Just watch the guy. Watch the way that he operates. Watch the way that he collectively moves everything. His decision making. His posture, his awareness in the pocket. Little things like that tell you everything. And to have a young guy like that who has such a good feel and command for the game, it's very telling. And I think Josh Rosen is going to be a guy we're going to be talking about every single Saturday, every single day leading up to Saturdays. I really think that he's the real deal. The kid can really play. But that is it for this little preview before the weekend to set you up for College Football Corner. Again, not the greatest Week 3 lineup, but there are some good ones. If you have to be in front of the TV, the 4 games I just mentioned, make sure you're in front for those. But until Tuesday, where we'll be back in the TV studio breaking down the entire weekend, I'm Jersey Joe Archino. We'll be back next time.